talk about it. Today's episode is Today's episode's question is based on would you continue to meet with your therapist if you discovered that they were taking medication for a diagnosed mental illness? To me, this question is silly, but it might not be to some. We all have different opinions. But my answer to this is absolutely. I feel more comfortable. I feel more comfortable with somebody having a mental illness and knowing how I feel treating me than I would this might sound rude, some hoity-toity,
turn left on Northeast Road.
Rude person or uptight person dressed in their per se rich clothing and doesn't know what it feels like to want to sit around in sweatpants all day. So there is a difference there for me. So that's how I feel about it. Like, I would much rather somebody with experience, lived experience in with mental illness to treat me, to understand, and if they're doing their part to take care of themselves, and they are treating them, not themselves, but they're seeking treatment themselves and doing the work to get better, then why should I have a problem with that? That is how I see it. That is how I view it. I do see that other people may view this as, why would I seek treatment from somebody that's as crazy as I am? That's your opinion, and I respect that. But
new text message from lover.
That is just one example, I suppose. So there's not really much more for me to go on that. I can't even really go into more depth or detail, because that is my one and only view on that question.
Turn left on State Route 130.
Okay.
Turn left on State Route 130.
What are some examples of your experience or my experiences of dissociation?
Continue straight for 45 minutes to State Route 50.
Well, this is almost a little bit embarrassing for me, so I'll deal with it the best as I can, I guess. When I was a kid, when I would get to the point where I couldn't handle any more pain or trauma, or just I couldn't handle any more of life, I would literally I would literally go to my own world, and my imagination would be so, and I just came to this rationally, and I was able to admit this to myself, and understood it, and so maybe that's why I'm still embarrassed by it. It's because it's still really fresh and new to my brain of understanding it and realizing it was dissociation, and I did that, and that's anyway. I would just literally my body would stay right here, but my thoughts and my brain and my heart and my soul and everything just jumped to this. It was usually some make-believe land that I was somebody of importance. I was somebody that was loved, and I was somebody that was cared about, or I was somebody that I was a leader, or somebody that was needed, or sometimes it would be I was an Indian, or or gymnast, or it just depended, I guess, on what the situation, the circumstances were at the time, and how old I was with my age. It grew to different place in different scenario and situation, I guess. So I would just disappear in my brain, and then when the abuse was going on, eventually I learned how to disappear then, and I would no longer feel anything. And I would be gone throughout the experience, I guess you would say. And I would be in a place that made me feel happier and safe. And it's really weird saying it out loud, because when you say it out loud, it has to be true, but it sounds so far-fetched, I guess. If you've never experienced it, you can't really understand it, I guess. But it kind of scares me. It's kind of scary. It's kind of also there's a small part of me that wishes I had DID, and I could just do it whenever. Shit, that was way too much. Because if you could forget and not remember the bits and pieces of your life, that some other part of you remembers it, that hides the bad from you. Like if you've ever seen Splice, I think that's what it's called, or Splice maybe. I don't know. It's a movie. It's really good, and I can't think of the name of it. So, but it's the Unbreakable sequel. There, the trilogy, I guess it would be. All three of those movies are terrific movies. Some of it is fictional, you know, but there is some of it that is really I think portrays mental illness way better than some of these other movies do, and portrays the more serious side of mental illness better than some of these other movies do. Not everybody that has mental illness turns into a Freddy Krueger or a Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers, but I don't know the words I want to use today. The thing that I think that I'm trying to say here is, and I am not in no way, shape, or form giving the right to anybody to hurt another human being, no matter what's wrong with you, but it is crazy to believe that, or it's crazy to understand, not to believe. It's crazy to understand that somebody with mental illness is to that extent can be so paranoid or scared or afraid or like somebody with multiple personalities or severe paranoia or whatever the case may be, they harm somebody else only in defense of thinking that somebody is going to harm them. And it's sad that that happens, and it's scary. It's scary, very scary. Mental illness is a crazy thing, and it's so underfunded. I'm going to get on my soapbox for a second. I know I'm railing from the question, but it's on my mind, and I have to say what's on my mind when it's on my mind, and I'm probably going to make somebody in the world mad if they watch this video. But once again, I cannot keep my mouth shut because I am here to raise awareness on mental illness. But bear with me just a second. Mental health and mental illness is underfunded. We hear a lot of times how the mental health industry needs more psychiatrists and more mental health workers, but really, honestly, we could use increase of quality over quantity. We are America. The United States, U.S., is quick to give free rehab, care, free anything drug related. Is you can find free recovery, so on and so forth, over anything mental health care costs. the types of drug recoveries, there is all different types of rehabs. You can get free sex addicts can get free rehabilitation before a person with mental health. Say, I have borderline personality disorder, so we'll use my disorder as an example. Before a person with borderline personality disorder can get free, well, for one, you can't get personalized free personalized mental health care anywhere, but you can get free personalized addiction care for anybody. And I want to use a lot of curse words, and the anger that I have towards this makes me want to say a lot of things, so I have to think about what I say before I say it. So please bear with me in my stuttering, in my newfound think before you say something retarded or stupid, Savannah. It's part of my BPD recovery therapy process. But anyway, with that being said, most people that have an addiction to something is based on a mental illness. Most people that have addiction to drugs and alcohol are self-medicating over a pain from a trauma. You would think that the United States and any government would want to fix the problem and not the cause. You would think that they would want to have a solution and not a band-aid, because that's what we're doing. We're not performing the surgery. We're just putting a band-aid on it and saying, okay, you can go home. And that's why I don't know the exact statistics, but it is over half the people that complete rehab relapse. Just because rehab is a band-aid. We're not fixing the illness that caused the addiction in the first place. We are just saying, here, spend 30 days in here and we'll let you go. I would love, more than anything in the world, to go to I would love to go to a personalized facility for me. Mental health institutions, or mental health hospitals, I should say, are generalized. Like, there's people in there that are comatose patients that are just, something like beyond me. There are people in there that drink freaking mouthwash 7 times to try to kill themselves, or 7 times not just to get drunk. And there's people in there that think that they're a messiah from God, and I know this from lived experience. So this is not me just talking out of my but this is me telling you from lived experience of what happens and what is, and why they're not effective. When I went to the hospital that I was at when I had my most recent suicide attempt, I was in a hospital where I did not feel like I belonged. I bullshitted my way out of it. I did not. I took part in the groups. I did everything that I was supposed to do. I walked the line to get out of there, and I got out of there. Not to mention there was one doctor for all of these people, or maybe there was actually 2 doctors, but there was only 2 doctors for all of these people. There was one person that was really, really disruptive and, had to be restrained more than once while I was there. So all that did was terrify me. Then there's intermediate disruptive people, and then there was slightly disruptive people, and then you had people that thought they were messiahs from God, and God brought them down here. And I still have this 7-page letter from this girl that she wrote me a letter before I left. She was my roommate, and I thought she was semi-normal and okay. And by the time I left, I didn't know whether I didn't know what to think. And so there is levels of mental illness that everybody experiences. Like, there are different levels that we are each on. There we go. And for those of you that feel like you didn't belong when you were institutionalized, and you were certifiable, because that's how you felt. You felt like you were completely certifiable, and you felt like everybody thought you were completely certified. You were treated that way, and you weren't. You're not, and you're just trying to whatever. You just wanted to die. However you want to look at it, however you want to word it. What I'm trying to say is, say it as just bluntly as possible without being harsh, just kind of hard. So if you aren't a comatose patient, or you aren't a extremely disruptive, break everything, I'm gonna hurt everybody, like, you should be classified in your own class of crazy. I get that if you need to be committed, you need to be committed, okay? Now, I won't deny that. But if you can't be committed into a place that is actually going to do you some good, then why are they committing us in the first place? If we can have individualized treatment for the disorders that we have, if we can't have individualized treatment to get a real diagnosis, because I wouldn't get a correct diagnosis for 1.5 years later. And in that 1.5 years, I spent, I'm way off subject now, but anyway, in that 1.5 years, I spent time cutting. I tried to drink myself to death. I contemplated suicide in the best way that I could. I thought about it every day. How can I kill myself without making a huge mess all over the place, and be home by myself long enough to not be found in time for somebody to save my sorry, pitiful ass? I spent that time. I recently just got to a point in my life, in the last 4 months, that I wake up and don't want to die. I don't want to die. I want to live. And I want to live for the purpose that, if anything, if I never had a purpose on this life ever, I do now. My suicide attempt and everything that happened, my purpose is to save somebody else. Even if it's just one person, my purpose is to save somebody else. With my words, with the fact that it is hard and it might not get any easier. And for some people, life just isn't easy. But it doesn't have to be this way forever. It doesn't have to be that way forever. And it does get easier. But you got to do the work. You got to do the steps. You got to be the person that you want to be deep down inside. You have to bring it out. You can't let other people hold you back. You can't worry about what they think of you or what they want you to be or how they want you to be. You can't worry about having the clothes that they think that you should wear and be the person. You have to be you. And if you don't know who you are, well, then it's time to spend time with nobody but yourself. And that is exactly how I have found this person, is by spending time alone. I don't have friends. I don't want friends. I don't want to be a socialite. I've done that. I've done all of that. I've tried to be everything that I'm not. And that is what killed me. That is what almost killed me. And to be honest, I was dead. I was dead inside. Hold on a second. So, anyway, back to dissociation. Yes. So, anyway, in my adult life, I think it's been a lot harder for me to dissociate. But I have. And it's more from dissociating from what I want in reality to reality. And that has been damaging for me, honestly. And then some real life, like, outer body experiences I have also, like, it's weird. And then, like, deja vu stuff is really unclear, like, trying to figure out this as I'm still learning this stuff in my adult life and trying to figure out the bits and pieces and mix and matching. So, once it becomes clearer, I'll do another video on this. But until I completely understand my adult dissociation and exactly what is going on in this brain of mine, I can't give it a clear explanation. So, if you all do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll continue on with my Circle Talking Soapbox Q&As. And see you all maybe tomorrow. Maybe again today, I don't know. Don't forget to check out my website. I'm still looking for members to sign up for my online support group at createdborderline.org. And you can check out my personal blog at beyondtheborderline.net. And as always, my podcast at Created Borderline. Let's talk about it. And my Word Vomit 2 will be coming out at the end of September. I was hoping to get it out at the end of August, but it looks like it's going to be out at the end of September, and I'm super excited about it because it's super good.